And it's great to help entrepreneurs. I can call the CEO of Walmart if I want, because he wants to help entrepreneurs too. So we're associated with entrepreneurship now all around the world.
No, I mean, I watched in Chile when I was living there as well. So it is all over the place.
It is all over the place. And it really is an interesting platform. And I respect it for what it does, but it's also incredibly interesting work.
Right, because you get to see builders essentially. Those are the best people to work with.
I never know what's going to walk through the door. And I have such opportunities with these entrepreneurs, because the secret sauce of Shark Tank that nobody really thinks through is it's 100 million eyeballs. The biggest cost in any startup is customer acquisition. 8 out of 10 go bankrupt because they can't ever get their customer acquisition cost below the lifetime value. We get customers for nothing for them. That's the answer.
That's super powerful. And something you touched on about this climate change in a profitable manner, I think touches into some of the work you've been doing in the cryptocurrency and mining space. And I think it'd be a place where I'd love to segue in and hear a little bit about what you've been doing in that space.
So one of my businesses that I spend a lot of time on is indexing. And indexing is creating subsets of the S&P for sovereign wealth or pension plans. So let's say you're a country wealthy with oil. So one of the largest hydro facilities for Bitcoin mining is being built out right now in northern Norway. We call it the Norway model, where it's 100% excess hydro. And the company built out its own transmission line. So they spent millions building that for the benefit of that community, 3,000 people. The heat off the computers is recaptured and grows hothouse tomatoes. And they built a canning plant so they could store it during the winter. That's the new version of Bitcoin mining. And so my job now is to find senators and governors that have policy in their states and have hydro or nuclear power that are willing to support the Norway model. And those states specifically are Montana, North Dakota, Florida, and Texas, of course. And we're working in all of those jurisdictions. You just saw New York, technically ban Bitcoin mining today. They did that vote. Now, it's not law yet. It's got to go through the Senate. But what a waste. They have excess power. They don't understand Bitcoin. It's a political knee-jerk reaction. But we had a project in New York, and we're just taking that capital and those jobs, and we're getting out of there. I went to meet there with leadership, the governor and the senator together, and I brought the whole team, including the guys from Norway, with me. We spent a couple of days there, and I'm 100% committed to North Dakota. I mean, that place is going to change the perception of hydrocarbons.
I think that really stands out to me with this kind of things is it brings empowerment to areas that have been sort of forgotten or there hasn't been that much development. And now with Bitcoin mining and other technologies like this, there's a resurgence in these places. Is that something that matters, or is it just where the ideal scenario is?
No, it does matter, but it takes leadership. Yeah. It takes leadership at the state level. It takes vision and leadership and encouragement of policy. And you can see the difference between those advanced pro-business states. It's not just around political, partisanship. It's about individual governors and senators who ran businesses once that actually understand payroll, and they understand how important it is to attract capital. Now, I'm working with investors in the United Arab Emirates for two reasons. One, they're also very advanced in their thinking on carbon neutrality. So we have an index that is 50 European stocks that is very popular. And so what we try and do is find the best balance sheets. And Europe is basically made up of Switzerland, so the Swiss franc, Europe itself, Germany and France, so that's the euro as a currency, and then the London Stock Exchange, which is in British pounds. Now, let's say you're putting out $100 million index, just for start. You seed an index with $100 million. I have to take the $100 million US dollars, allocate it into 3 different currencies, go through an FX exchange where I get clipped basis points, no value whatsoever, zero value, buy the stocks on the native exchanges, manage their positions. Usually a mandate like that is no more than 5% in any one stock. So if it doubles in price, you got to sell half of it. Go back from that, Swiss franc back into US dollars. However, if we can get the legislation through, I could potentially only use one payment system for all of the stocks that I'm buying in all these different currencies. And all of a sudden, the efficiency of that, the billions in savings, it's at our fingertips. I know with certainty, and I'll make a statement now, and I've said it before, that within a decade, crypto and blockchain technology will be the 12th sector of the S&P. Right now, there's 11 sectors. It will become the 12th. The only decision any of us as investors have to make now is how much should I allocate to crypto now, and how should I deploy it? How much
Mhm.
diversification should I have? So in my head, the big event is going to be policy on crypto. It will open the floodgates to capital from pension and sovereign, which we don't have. People talk about Bitcoin, 800 billion. That's nothing. That's nothing in financial services. It's not even a pimple. It's nothing. Nobody owns it. I mean, yes, there's some high net worth individuals, some hedge funds, and a few retail investors, but Bitcoin is a nothing burger in financial services. I think the whole idea of entrepreneurship is to do to when I teach, I just spent 2 days at Harvard teaching. I really enjoy that with the graduating cohorts in the MBA program, the first year and the second years. And I say to them, look, this is not a life for all of you, but it's a life for a third of you, because that's what the
Mhm.
stats say. A third of them are start companies. And you're not doing it for the greed of money. You're doing it for the pursuit of personal freedom, because when you are successful, you get to spend your hours, your awake hours, doing things that you want to do. And I'm at that place, and I've been at that place for a long time now. So I enjoy what I do. I'm here because I want to be here, and I can afford to be here. And so I don't need more money. I obviously want to keep what I've got, but
Mhm.
I'm really interested in the stuff I'm working on. I want to be at the cutting edge of the 11th sector, turning to the 12th sector of the S&P. I mean, this is a big passion for me now. And I'm dealing with governments all around the world to service banks, like in countries like Canada. Um, Bit Zero, we talked about, it's a private company, but I'm 100% behind that for sustainable mining and working with them in all these different state and different countries. It's a very collaborative way of working. And a good example is Ryan, FTX's CEO. He introduced me to the government in Georgia.
Yeah.
And I'm way down the rabbit hole in Georgia now, buying assets in their country, even though it's right beside Russia. But I have an opinion about that. I think Russians are pretty busy right now in the Ukraine and not doing so well. So I think at the end of the day, I'm not that worried about Georgia, because it's a very entrepreneurial place. I don't think it's of much interest to them.
Mhm.
So I'm willing to deploy capital there. The point is, I wouldn't have known about it unless this collaboration existed with other CEOs that are working on this stuff. I'm intrigued. I think infrastructure is the play. Owning a piece of exchanges, you're agnostic to price of coin. Doesn't matter. It goes up or down, you still get paid. So that is what I'm sort of focusing on now. And I do have a big portfolio